Okay, we took a look at G Day after the fact, just to kind of go over some things and what appeared that we didn't see live. So a lot of times well, not all the time when we're doing riding home, we've only watched the game live in person. We've not been able to rewind and so forth. And when Matt DeBerry and I watched the game Saturday night, a couple of different things popped out. It really, though, did solidify how good Carson Beck had been during the day. Things were very smooth with Carson, um, and he came. I don't see how it's never been described this way. It's never been described that he came into the season as the number one, but it sure seems like he is at least 1A leaving it because he just had such a complete, solid performance at G Day. I just don't know how anyone could watch that and think that he didn't have the best day. Now, what that meant for the other 14 practices, we don't know that. I think the other thing that popped up was, on the offensive line, it looks like they do have some options there at left tackle with Austin Blasky and a slew of other guys. But I mean, it looks like for the most part that Amarius Mims is going to play right tackle for Georgia, which I mean, certainly that they know what they're doing for sure, but typically someone who is that big, long, however you want to describe Amarius, he would be somebody that would be playing on the other side. But I mean, I don't think there has to be, firm rules as to what things have to be. I think the other thing is that, Georgia's just in watching every single thing, and Matt and I were talking about it as we went. We got a chance to talk about the I about called it G Day, the Clemson spring game. I watched Florida's spring game before that. Georgia's a complete team. Georgia's a complete team. Clemson, I think, is um, going to have its defense completely carry the day. That's what it looks like again. But Florida's in real, real trouble, generally speaking. I think if you watched that game, if you watched the struggle they've got at quarterback, I mean, it's really problematic down there. And you compare those two things that we didn't get a chance to watch Tennessee, but I'm sure they threw the ball all over the place. Um, it's hard to watch Georgia and not understand that they are a complete and full team. I mean, that's the biggest thing is get 50% off your next DoorDash order. If you're ordering for the first time, the code's changing slightly to Dog Post, DAWGPOST. Limited time offer. Terms apply. 50% off, $20 value, $0 in delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app from the app store. The code is down below, by the way, to punch in for DoorDash. So go ahead and do that and use the code Dog Post. It's 50% off your first order with with DoorDash. The code is Dog Post. In talking with guys after the game or the scrimmage, I don't know what it's called. Um, they were very Carson was very relaxed. I think Brock Vandergriff was very excited that he played. I think he felt he played pretty well, which I think he probably did play pretty well, to be honest with you. I just don't think he played as well as Beck. And the folks that we talked to, they felt like Beck was the guy coming into this thing. And G Day, if G Day was basically what practices have been like, then it makes sense that what we've been hearing is what we saw, on Saturday. And um, if you saw, I mean, if Beck plays the way that he did on Saturday this fall, Georgia's going to score a lot of points because there were times, and the TV copy proved this out even more that Beck was going to through multiple progressions. Now, I will say this for Beck, unlike for Vandergriff and Stockton, at least the entire time, it Beck really did have very good protection the entire time. I think that Stockton and Vandergriff have protection a lot of the time, but not all of the time. So I don't know. So it's always a little bit apples to apple sauce, but or apple puree at least, or apple pie. But Beck took advantage of that and went through progressions and so forth. I thought all three quarterbacks had moments where you were like, yeah, this, that looked good. This is that, we can do that. Um, uh, I thought that I thought all three of those quarterbacks really did look like they could get the job done for Georgia. I think that it was harder to tell who the number two was after that game. Now that's me. Some people really felt firmly that Vandergriff was sort of obviously the two. I couldn't say that from my perspective or after watching it on TV. It was harder to it was harder to tell that, just to be honest with you. Make sure that you're picking up the Stetson Bennett copy of Double Dog. Stetson was there over the weekend. And then, of course, we have Keely Ringo versions. I did not see Keeling. Excuse me, I did not see Keely. And all those guys were picking up their rings. And I think it's totally possible that Georgia picks up another couple of rings um, in the near future because they just, this team, it's everywhere. Like, Barry Alexander leaves, and you wonder, well, why is he leaving? Like, what's going on? Yada yada. You didn't even notice he was gone on Saturday, and he's really a pretty good player, and you didn't even notice he was gone. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Barry Alexander. I have no idea, but he would have been a good player for Georgia, but he wasn't there. And Georgia's defensive line looked completely solid, looked very good. And the other thing about G Day that is sort of harder to remember, I guess, is that the entire team is split there. All those guys are going to be playing together. I mean, you're not going to have Zion Logue on a different team than Chaz Chambliss. They're going to be playing together. I'm still recovering from G Day. I spent too much time, goofing around on Saturday. I got a chance to watch Georgia's men's tennis team go undefeated in the regular season, conclude their undefeated regular season. So, congratulations to Manny and the Georgia tennis team for capturing another Southeastern Conference championship. It's not out of the question at all that they could win the national championship. And Georgia needs, as an athletic department, needs multiple national championships in any season. It's so hard to win them, but a program as powerful as Georgia's should really be competing for multiple national championships. Nearly got one in men's indoor track. They should be winning multiple national championships, but I digress. Good luck to Manny and the crew as they get ready for the SEC championships as well as the NCAA is coming up so shortly. But I thought for this team, it looks like Carson Beck is going to be your starting quarterback. But Brock Vandergriff shouldn't just go away or not be ready to party and play because as we've seen over time, the starting quarterback doesn't always stay the starting quarterback at Georgia, and that's important to remember. That's an important thing to keep in mind as we get closer to this 23 season. I did think it was a very good crowd that we saw on Saturday, full of people, and about at the end of the second quarter, people were they left. A lot of people left. I thought that they'd seen a lot and they wanted to go home. I get it. It was warmer than usual for the spring, but Georgia's barreling towards, being the number one. They're going to be the number one team in the country coming into this thing, and the decision about the starting quarterback is going to come along the way too. Now, who that will be, it looks like it will be Beck. When we will know that, it seems to me like we will know that from the first game going into the second game. I think there's not going to be a person named. If everybody remembers the way that Kirby has been about this, he's not definitive with things. So uh, I think it will become obvious when Carson Beck, if you want. I mean, I'm using him as an example, but he seems like he's in the lead. When Carson Beck starts the first three games this season, there won't be question about who the starting quarterback will be. That's how this will happen. Thanks for watching.